Go.
I'm Stephanie. I worked with Jessica and Alyesha on advertising ethics, specifically our STEM jobs geared towards men. I just want to start by saying some numbers. Of all the undergraduate degrees in engineering, only 20% belong to women in the last year, and last year only 13% of practice licensed engineers were women. That being said, we can clearly see that there's more men in engineering than women. So our thesis is that unethical job advertisement contributes to the disparity between the gender. In order to see if we had a grounded basis for saying this, we first looked at the ethical basics from the Engineering Code of Ethics as it pertains to advertising. And secondly, we worked on a case study that looked at the local job market and ads that were locally listed for Victoria, BC, to determine whether they were more geared towards men, whether it be consciously or unconsciously. So I'm going to hand it off to Alyesha to talk about the ethics of advertising.
Yeah, so we kind of thought that obviously like there's many reasons why there is a gender discrepancy, but it's kind of like more important to figure out why it is rather than that it's a thing. So one of the channels, I guess, that we decided to look at was advertising ethics and how that may affect women or men coming into STEM. So a couple of the tasks we explored was that sometimes like an advertisement will be placed and like a woman's hired or something, they end up doing menial tasks, paperwork, that sort of thing. Another thing which was actually pretty interesting, we looked at algorithm bias. So this is obviously not on purpose, but a company anyways, they decided to put out this like pretty neutral ad and see how this algorithm would respond. They did this across Instagram, they did this across Twitter, and they did this across most largely Facebook, because Facebook they were able to conduct it internationally. And what they found was that it's more expensive to advertise to women. So actually when like the advertisers go in and they can set like range for like who this is being shown to, like gender like this, they can also choose how much they want to pay per click. And so it was found that it was more expensive to show to women even though they click more ads. So unintentionally the algorithm might not show to us as much. And then another thing we looked at, so less exposure, less people are going to go into it, men or women. And then another thing that was kind of interesting was we thought the advertising of gender toys between girls' toys and boys' toys might contribute to this as well, because it's illegal to discriminate against gender, but gender like pricing, like someone can get a pink pen and someone can get a blue pen and sell them for completely different prices, like not illegal, totally fine, so you can advertise to men or women or whatever and change the price. So we also kind of looked at if children, the issue is more so that if children at a young age, it's not really what they're learning, but they're learning that there is a distinction. So they see like this little like nurse or secretary Barbie or whatever, and their mind kind of tunnels, like this is my path, this is where I'm going, and they kind of grow up with that thought, whereas a lot of guys and stuff, they'll get like Bob the Builder, I don't really know what to play with now, but I don't know, but like they'll get a lot more like, they go like motion and like moving parts, and like they can build and they get that base to really grow from that I think a lot of little girls don't. So anyways, and then we did a case study that just checking out some little companies around Victoria that Jess and I talked about.
So we conducted a study on 119 job postings that were on Indeed.com, and we put them through Textio. It's a bias check predictive engine that compares language patterns and puts words into a gender-based tone categories. And what we found was that job advertisements in Victoria for junior engineers and co-op positions were mostly skewed towards feminine tones, but in the spectrum we saw that 71.4% of the ads fell between slightly feminine and slightly masculine and gender neutral, which was kind of nice to see that there's not a lot of discrimination going on in Victoria. Something interesting that we saw was, for the most part, the very gender biased ads were geared towards men. But because our study was so small, our sample size was so small, we can't really conclude that there's any gender bias, and we can't conclude that job ads are a huge contributor to the gender gap in Victoria, in the engineering field. And do you want to add?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we also talked about it more in the essay, but we did find a couple comparisons to the Code of Ethics, and I'll just list quickly the ones that we found relevant. We found number 2, know your limits, number 4, conflict of interest, and number 9, be brave. And so we talk about that a little more in our essay as well as our poster.